Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into one of the most fascinating and twisted tales of wit, greed, and manipulation, the story of a clever conman who managed to outsmart even the most cunning tricksters, and in the end, captured not just wealth and power, but also the heart of a landlord's daughter. This story isn't just about deceit. It's about how intelligence, timing, and confidence can change a person's destiny for better or worse. So sit back and listen carefully, because this one is full of lessons, irony, and the kind of brilliance that leaves you amazed. Once upon a time, in a prosperous village known for its rich landlords and clever traders, there lived a man named Raghu. He was known far and wide not for his honesty, but for his mind that could twist any situation in his favor. Rag, who was the kind of man who could sell sand in the desert and convince people they needed it, he had no wealth of his own, but he possessed something far more powerful charm and wit. People both feared and admired him. He had a reputation for tricking tricksters and fooling the greedy. One day Rag, who heard about a wealthy landlord named Thakur Pratap Singh. Thakur was proud, wealthy, and known for his arrogance. He owned acres of land, cattle, and dozens of servants. But he also had one weakness: his only daughter, Radha. She was beautiful, educated, and as clever as she was kind. Many suitors had come to seek her hand in marriage, but Thakur always found a reason to reject them. He wanted a man who was smart, capable, and strong enough to handle his empire, not just a good-looking fool with money. Rag, who saw this as his golden opportunity. But he knew that to marry Radha, he'd have to do something extraordinary, something that would not only impress Thakur, but also outsmart him. He began his plan with precision. He dressed modestly, disguised himself as a simple merchant, and entered the village market. He started trading small items, spices, cloth, and jewelry, and in no time, people noticed his sharp mind and fair dealings. Slowly, he built trust. Even Thakur's servants began buying from him, praising his honesty and knowledge. One evening, Rag, who cleverly arranged to meet Thakur through a small business deal, he sold him some precious gems that looked real but were cleverly crafted fakes. But here's where his brilliance showed. He intentionally let Thakur discover that the gems were fake after a few days. Before Thakur could take any action, Rag, who came back with genuine gems, and pretended that one of his workers had cheated him too. Thakur, impressed by Rag, whose quick correction and honesty, forgave him and praised his integrity. In reality, Rag, who had planned the entire thing, the fake gems, the apology, and even the replacement to gain Thakur's trust. Days turned into weeks, and Rag, who slowly became a familiar face at Thakur's mansion. He advised Thakur on business matters, suggested new trade routes, and even helped him recover lost debts. Thakur began to treat him like a confidant. Rad had too noticed Rag, whose intelligence and humility. Unlike the arrogant young men who came flaunting their wealth, Rag, who spoke with wisdom and calmness, his words carried weight, and his eyes had confidence. Soon Radha found herself drawn to him, though she kept her feelings hidden. One day a crisis struck. Thakur's business partner in another town cheated him out of a huge sum of money. The loss was big enough to shake the foundation of his estate. Everyone advised him to let it go, but Rag, who stepped forward with a daring plan. He offered to travel to the partner's town, recover the money, and bring justice to Thakur. Thakur hesitated but agreed, trusting Raghu's capability. When Raghu reached the other town, he didn't go with anger or threats. He used charm, intelligence, and manipulation. He learned everything about the partner's weaknesses, debts, and secret dealings. Within days, he trapped the man in his own web, blackmailing him subtly without violence. The partner not only returned Thakur's money, but also paid extra as compensation. Raghu returned as a hero. The entire village praised him, and Thakur's admiration turned into deep trust. After that event, Thakur openly declared Raghu as his most reliable advisor. He invited him to stay permanently in the mansion, and even began discussing family matters with him. Rag, who, being the opportunist he was, played his cards perfectly. He treated everyone with respect, but never forgot his ultimate goal, marrying Radha and gaining everything. Over time, Thacker's health began to decline, and he worried about Radha's future. Rag, who, seeing his chance, subtly suggested that only a man who truly understood Thacker's estate could take care of Radha after him. Thacker agreed in principle, but wanted to find such a man himself. Radha, however, had already made up her mind. She admired Raghu's intellect and bravery. One evening she confessed her feelings, and Rag, who, though internally celebrating, acted humble and hesitant. Word of their affection reached Thacker, and though initially angry, he soon realized that Rag, who was perhaps the only man who could truly manage his empire. With reluctance, he agreed to the marriage. The wedding took place with grand celebration, and Rag, who became not just a son-in-law, but also the heir to Thacker's massive property. The entire village was astonished at how a simple merchant had risen to such heights. But Raghu's story didn't end there. After Thacker's passing, many people expected Rag, who to turn arrogant or cruel. Instead, he ruled with intelligence and fairness, maintaining Thacker's legacy. Yet, deep down, he never changed. He was still the man who believed in outsmarting rather than overpowering. Some said he truly loved Radha, while others whispered that it was all part of his master plan. As years passed, Rag, who became a legend, the man who tricked the tricksters, won the landlord's trust, and married the woman everyone dreamed of. His tale spread across towns as both inspiration and warning. Those who admired him called him a genius. Those who envied him called him a fraud. But regardless of what people said, everyone agreed on one thing: Rag, who was a man who knew how to play life like a game of chess, always thinking 3 moves ahead. In the end, when people asked him how he achieved everything, Rag, who would smile and say, "The world is full of thieves, some steal money, others steal hearts. The real victory is when you steal both and still walk away respected." That line became legendary. It defined his personality, a mix of cleverness, charm, and fearlessness. Radha, too, played her part with dignity. She wasn't naive. She knew Raghu's past and his methods, but she saw in him a mind far sharper than anyone she'd ever met. Together, they became the power couple of the region, respected and feared. Rag, who expanded the business empire beyond what Thacker had imagined, introducing new trade routes and alliances. He made friends with rulers, traders, and even those who once tried to deceive him. But what made him truly remarkable was his ability to turn every enemy into an ally. He never sought revenge, he sought control. He didn't fight battles, he orchestrated them from behind the scenes. People often tried to trap him, but every time Rag, who came out ahead, leaving everyone wondering how he managed to predict every move. Even toward the end of his life, when Rag, who looked back, he wasn't proud of his tricks, he was proud of his understanding of human nature. He knew that greed, fear, and pride controlled most people, and he used those emotions as his greatest tools. He once said to Radha, "You can conquer kingdoms with swords, but you can own hearts with intelligence." That's the essence of Raghu's story, a man who rose from nothing, outwitted the wicked, charmed the proud, and built an empire with his brain. His journey teaches that intelligence, when guided with patience and confidence, can outshine wealth and power. It reminds us that sometimes those who appear ordinary can achieve the most extraordinary things simply by understanding people better than they understand themselves. So, the next time you hear about a conman or a clever mind who bends situations to his will, remember Rag, who the man who tricked the tricksters, married the landlord's daughter, and turned his cunning into legacy. His story is proof that life rewards not just the strong or the rich, but those who think smart act boldly and never reveal all their cards. If you enjoyed this story and want more tales of intelligence, power, and hidden strategy, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. We'll be back soon with another story that will make you think, smile, and maybe question the world a little more deeply. Thank you for watching, and until next time, stay sharp, stay curious, and never underestimate the power of a clever mind.